Hello YouTube, Asuma here with another Minecraft video. I'm going to be building a cave spider XP farm with 8 different spawners, and the reason I'm doing this is to answer a lot of people's questions, or at least I hope to. I get a lot of comments and messages saying I've got cave spider spawners that are too close to each other, some that are above and below each other, and I'm hoping that by doing this I'll answer all of your questions. And this was actually given to me by a subscriber. They sent me the seed and the location of the spawners, so I came down here to check it out, and that's when I decided I wanted to do this. So I'm going to be doing this as if you could do it legitimately, so I won't be using any materials that are not available in survival mode to the player, and although I'll be building it in creative to save myself time, it will be possible to do it in survival. So that means that you could actually choose the same map to play on and come down here and build yourself a 8 cave spider XP farm, and that will probably be the fastest XP farm there is in the game, unless you can find 4 blaze farms next to each other, which I don't think is possible. So for this video I'm going to be showing you some of the problems that I encounter and explaining how I'm building the farm, and there'll be a map download in the description box, so you can actually just skip all of that if you want to and check it out for yourself, see how fast it works, and you could even use that to help you build it in survival mode. Just copy it block for block. Before I start building, there's a couple of things I need to explain. First of all, this is where the trap's going to be, and the player needs to stand where the trap is so that the cave spider spawners move towards the player and get sucked into the trap. If I stand here, all of the cave spider spawners are active. If I move over one block this way, that one isn't, and the same thing on the other side. And what's great about the way these cave spider spawners are laid out is that they're all on one side of where the trap's going to be, and this means we can redirect all the spiders to the front of the trap, and when they move into it they'll be surrounded by 3 walls, which is very good because that means they'll climb up into the trap a lot easier. So let's say that some of these spawners were off in that direction, it would have made it a lot more difficult because then we'd have to bring them from this way and it would mean they'd climb up 2 walls instead of 3. So we have that on our side. The first thing I decided I should do is build the bottom of each of the spawn areas so we can get a good idea of how this thing's going to come together. And I've used iron blocks, but of course that's just for the texture. You don't have to do that if you're building legit. And over here we have this glowstone. This is just me making markers for the spawn rooms, and if I press F3 you can see below the XYZ the F count is 1 and 2 when facing in this direction, and that's the direction of the larger side of the spawn room, so that's what I've been doing there. And anyway, this spawn room over here is going to be one big room because it all intersects with each other, and over on this side we have these gold blocks representing where they intersect the spawnable area. And what I think I'm going to do is just make this spawn room redirect the spiders up into the next one, and then it'll go through there and make its way to the trap. So the trap's going to be around this height because transporting spiders downwards is very difficult, and especially with a limited amount of space like we have, so I'm going to be bringing the spiders all up, and that's going to make things really difficult. Over here we're going to do something I think will be quite unique. We're going to have the water flowing towards me from the wall there, and that way when the spiders climb up and they're tracking the player, they should get pushed over to this side a little so they can come round to the front of the trap and make their way in that way. But using signs we're going to hold back the water and it's going to flow this way, and the same thing again, and then this way they should be able to reach the same height as the trap. I've now added the water to the spawn rooms over here, and if you're wondering what all the signs are for, it's to break up the different water currents that we have. So we've got a row of water across that side and over at the back there, and then over here we have 1 in the corner and 3 across the side here pushing them this way. And in the previous versions of Minecraft the water used to push the spiders and control where they go, whereas now in 1.2 it just tends to nudge them and the spiders can actually fight the current. So we just need to encourage them to go to the right place, and the most important thing with this is over this side, any that spawn in the corner like that one may get caught against the wall that I'm going to have there, so that's something I've got to look out for. And because the spiders are tracking the player, when they land in these dead spots where the signs are, they just keep moving anyway, so it doesn't really cause any problems having these dead spots. As you can see, I'm testing the trap in survival mode and it's been working really well. When I was building these ledges leading up to the trap here, I was thinking that placing water on all of them is probably not going to do any difference, and it turns out that they're completely capable of making their way up here by themselves. The reason we have water in the spawn rooms though is because some of the spiders will spawn out of tracking range, so then the water picks them up and pushes them in the right direction. And the other place that we need to use water is on the side here. When we've got some areas that we don't want the spiders to go into, the water's going to help push them out of that area. And yeah, the place that I'm now standing is slightly different. I had to move the trap around a bit, and there's just a slight area here where you can stand and activate those two different spawners. So if I move that way a bit, you'll see that one deactivates. If I move the other way, that one over there deactivates. So it's very precise where you have to stand, but the trap works really well, and none of the spiders have been caught on these ledges yet. There was a slight problem with the cave spiders there. When they come up to this bit here, although they can all make their way into the trap, a lot of them get caught up around the outside and sort of push one another into the trap, and that means that one or two of them will be in the escape area of this spawner. So what I'm going to do is put a water source block here and another one here and have signs around the outside, and then the water's going to push them into the trap. So when they get into this area here, they get pushed in a lot quicker than fighting each other trying to get into the trap. Having this water here I think makes a big difference. They seem to push against each other, and one finds its way to the middle a lot quicker than they did before. There we go. So yeah, that's definitely a big improvement. And yeah, the other problem that I have is that because I had to lower the trap to make sure we could activate it when we were standing there, the big mistake there being that where I was standing I realised I needed to be standing a little bit higher for the trap. So that means that now, yeah, we have this problem. The roof of our trap area is now one block lower than it should be. So what I'm thinking of doing is something I haven't really tried too much before, but creating a drop down area for these spiders. So over this side it's going to be a little tricky, and I might have to do something with water, maybe put a drowning trap at the top here in case any get caught. But when they come over the edge I want them to fall down into a pool of water and then drop down onto the next bit as well, and hopefully we can get them to do that without taking any damage. Okay, there's a few problems with this bit that we have here, and that's if you have say an equal number of spiders pushing at each other, then they're not going to be able to find one to go into the trap. If you have an odd number, then one appears in the middle and it gets its way in. So I've been wondering that maybe with the amount of spiders that we have come into the trap, it might be good to open up this side. So that's something that I'm going to try, but what I've been testing is that over there. And let's just change to peaceful and into creative and have a look at what I've done. Now I've been careful to try and make sure that none of this goes into the spawn area, but over on this side I think these 4 blocks intersect it, and I don't know why I didn't think, but I could just extend the platform across this way a little bit and bring that forward so that doesn't lower the spawn rates. Okay, that's something I'll do. But I've been testing it and it seems like the spiders come down the edge here. They rarely jump off at the edge, which they might take damage if they do. So as I test it more, if they do that, I'm going to have to find something to suppress that. I was thinking maybe some floating water or something along those lines, but anyway, yeah, they drop down here, then they drop down again and they come up, so that's just fine having them drop down like that. And then this room's going to be a lot more tricky to do because we need to get the spiders out of this room into this one, and one thing that's going to make that difficult is not being able to see because I've built this out of iron, so I might change it back to glass, and that's why I'm keeping this a lot out. I'm keeping a lot of this made out of glasses so I can see what's going on. And yeah, we've got to bring them up into this room and then they've got to go across again, so the water flow there is going to be interesting. And this trap here, earlier I said that I was going to put a wall here and a drowning trap at the top, but then I thought I might as well give some of the spiders a chance if they oh wait a minute, I think that's wrong. Okay, I've made a bit of a mistake here. I was thinking that we'd give them a chance, so they'd come across here, and then if they jump when they're in the water and get caught on this bit here, they'll go up into the drowning trap. But the same thing could occur here. They could jump, catch on the glass and go up, so we'll probably need 2 sets of drowning traps, but again that's there because it gives them more of a chance. So by having this extra thing, we increase the amount of spiders that are going to make their way to the trap. Okay, I've now started work on these two spawn rooms. I haven't tested them yet, but as well as that I've also moved this forward one block like I said I would, so it doesn't lower the spawn rates of this spawner. And yeah, what I've done over here is put a water bucket in each corner, and that creates one dead spot in the middle here, so I put a sign there just in case that somehow interferes with the spiders, which it shouldn't. But anyway, I think we might have a bit of a problem here if a spider tracks the player and lands in this corner, but I'm hoping that the water will keep pushing it up to this point and then it will climb up. So we might actually need some water there in case a spider gets caught on that corner. But yeah, that's going to push them over to this ledge. They're going to climb up because they're tracking the player, and they're going to get pushed into this water here. So we've got a row across the back there, and I've just realised I've missed something here. We need some signs just to break that up. Yeah, that'll do fine now. Okay, so yeah, and that'll push them all the way across, and the water here extends upwards now, so if that actually causes them to rise up, that might be a bit of a problem. But yeah, the main thing I'm going to be keeping my eye on is this bit over here and this trap here, and see what happens. Okay, I just observed that the spiders made their way up from that room. I couldn't really tell if any got caught over there, but one jumped out of the water and managed to climb up the top here, so that's definitely going to be a problem. And another one that went through the middle here got instantly pushed up into the water trap there. So I think the best thing to do is to have a drowning trap, although I've just had another idea to try and create something similar to the drowning trap, except the water would be on one side and it would just push across and drop them out over here, so they would fall down and then drop down here. So I'll try that. Okay, the problem that I'm observing with this is that although the water is pushing them that way, they're climbing up the wall as well. So when it pushes them off the edge like it is now, they're just hanging there. So I don't think there's actually a way to fix that, and then we might end up having to just have a drowning trap and kill some of the spiders that get caught up. Okay, all of this trap may now look slightly different around this area, and the reason why is because I've just finished rebuilding it. Now, I got distracted a moment ago when I found a 9th cave spider spawner, and I started rebuilding the trap to use that one as well. So it turns out if you lower down the bar one block and stand on top of it, you can actually activate all 9 at once. And when I got the map, I didn't know about the 9th spawner. It just said there was 8, and as soon as I found 8 I stopped looking. And so yeah, I started rebuilding the trap for the 9th spawner, and it turns out when you lower this down one block, it causes a lot more problems than it does you favours. All of the spiders coming from this side of the farm, it then makes it very difficult to get them under the glass. They get caught up in it, and it would have meant putting in more drowning traps, and it turned out not to be worth it at all, adding in the extra 9th cave spider spawner. Okay, I've just left the glass like this to see what would happen, and I've observed a few things. First of all, one of the spiders coming from that part took damage. I think it spawned in the air up here and then dropped straight down onto those blocks below. But oh, there you go, that's the first one to get caught. Most of them actually are just making their way over with some ease. So what I'm thinking of doing is just putting up a glass wall here, putting a drowning trap at the top for all of those that get caught. And one of the other things I observed when I was rebuilding the farm for 9 spawners is one cave spider got caught down in the corner there, so I'm going to have to check that out and see if we could put either a drowning trap in there, or maybe even just put a hole leading up and have a sign on it, so if it climbs in the corner it can actually come up to the room above and then just get pushed out by the water. Oh, and look, we've got 2 of them stuck here now. And 3. I've now taken the farm to the next level and I've enclosed everything, and yeah, I've used a ton of glass so that we can actually see all of the spawners at the same time, and there's also that water source block there, and that's to help the occasional spider that spawns up the top and tracks me and falls straight down there because it takes damage, although I get the feeling that it's just going to land on the water and jump down to that bit down there. So at this point I'm just going to be watching it, checking out that the drowning trap up here works, and seeing if I can find any flaws and fix them. Okay, I've been testing this for a while and I've observed a few things. First of all is that a lot of spiders get caught up in this area, and I think we might need to open up the trap and perhaps remove this row of blocks here, and maybe they'll load faster that way. The other thing is that the occasional spider does get caught here, but not that often, and it drowns in the trap up the top. And also that the water block over there is actually more trouble than it's worth, because the spiders come out of the trap and they jump off of that, and when they land they take damage. So I'm going to remove that, and what I'm going to do is place a glass block in front of that top area where it spawned before and took damage, and then just put a simple drowning trap up there. So if one does get caught, the glass will stop it and it should drop down onto the water, and if it decides to move against the glass and climb up it, then it will go into a drowning trap. Okay, this makes a huge difference having the trap open at the side like this. They get in here so much quicker now. And over there's a spider caught in that corner, and what I think I'm going to do is remove the block above it, and then when they get caught in that corner they can climb up and just make their way out onto the platform there. I've now added another feature, and the reason I've done this is because I saw a lot of cave spiders and they would get stuck on the blocks without water, and this is normally fine. When another one comes along it pushes them and then they keep moving, but for some reason around these steps it doesn't seem to have the same effect. It takes quite a few other spiders to nudge it before it starts moving again. So now I've decided I'll just add all of this flowing water, and this way the spiders, when they start to reach this area, they'll always be getting moved by the water, and it moves them in the direction that the trap will be more open. So they'll be, oh, I can't seem to get in here. There we go. So they'll be tracking me to here, but the water will be pushing them across this way, and then they'll climb up to this side, so they'll be coming at the angle where they can be loaded up quicker. So I think that's going to make a big difference, because then we'll have no more spiders getting caught up in these areas, and that's made it slightly more efficient. And I now feel like the farm is coming to that stage where it's almost complete, so a few more rounds of testing and hopefully that'll be it. I haven't seen any problems with this trap now, and I think it's complete. We still have the slight flaw over here where the occasional one climbs up and gets drowned, but that is actually quite minimal. So I'd say this thing's finished, and what I want to do is, apart from some more testing, is do a 5-minute test and see how much EXP or how many spiders load up from that, and that way we can calculate the EXP and we can figure out how long it would take to get to level 50 in this farm. And as well as that, I also got to add the redstone for the crusher, and I'm going to add some redstone lamps in so we can light up all of the rooms. And it might not be possible to completely disable all of the spawn rooms, but I'll give it a go. All of the redstone has now been added, all of the lamps and also the crusher. And the thing with the lamps is, normally when I've done this before you only needed 4 lamps, these 4 that I'm pointing at, and that would disable the spawner below it. But they were still spawning on most of the spawners, so I just decided to overdo it in the end and make sure that they couldn't spawn at all. And I've also added repeaters every so often, so it staggers itself a bit, and that just reduces lag. And at the moment I'm in peaceful, but the crusher works. I've tested it as well, and yep, I'm in creative. What am I doing? There we go. The monostable circuit is set up, and then that one retracts. So what I'm going to do now is do a test. I'm going to turn the farm on and then leave it for 5 minutes, and then when I come back I'm going to see how many spiders there are. So this trap loaded up 275 spiders in 5 minutes, and I find that about 800 spiders is what it takes to get to level 50. So if you were to run this 3 times, then you would get there. So we could say that this trap will probably get you to level 50 in about 15 minutes, which is very fast. So there we go, a cave spider XP farm with 8 spawners, and I hope this is useful to all of you who have had trouble making these farms with spawners in odd positions. So in this we've got spawn rooms that intersect each other. We've got ones that intersect at different height as well. We've got spawn rooms above and below each other, and as well as that we've also got a totally different loading system from the tunnels. We're using this, I don't know what you want to call it, perhaps a pyramid technique or something, but yeah, so I hope all of this is useful, and you can download the map, have a look at it in close detail, and hopefully it will help you with your own farms. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.